Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
Hey, what's up? It's Mario Lopez. Back to school is an exciting time, but it can also be overwhelming, and kids may feel isolated, a vulnerability that human traffickers can exploit. Human trafficking doesn't always look like what you expect. Everyday moments can become opportunities for someone with bad intentions. Whether you're a parent, teacher, coach, or neighbor, check in, ask questions, stay connected. Blue Campaign is a national awareness initiative that provides resources to help recognize suspected instances of human trafficking. Learn the signs and how to report at dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Mint's premium wireless is $15 a month. But I'd like to offer one other perk. We have no stores. That means no small talk. Crazy weather we're having. No, it's not. It's just weather. It is an introvert's dream. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate. And they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. We tell you what you need to know, follow up on the context of those stories, and help each other understand.
And today, Darragh Whelan tells us about a small fitness sensor kit that replaces a bunch of big, large, expensive diagnostic equipment. And quantum physicists got the Nobel Prize for their work and will try to get a prize for explaining it.
Yeah, when we say help each other understand, what it actually means is, Tom, help me understand this.
I'll do my best.
I'm Jason Howell.
I'm Tom Merritt.
Let's start with what you need to know with a big story. I just need to get over it. Quantum physics are complicated. And every time a story comes up around quantum physics and quantum computers, I'm always like, God, I still don't understand. It's okay, Jason. It's okay. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics to John Clark, Mitchell Deverett. I hope I'm getting your name right. Michelle. There we go. Wow, I got it really wrong. I got every aspect of that name wrong. And John Martinez, or Martinis, depending on if you want to be celebratory about it.
He may have had some martinis to celebrate.
Possibly so. For their experiments that demonstrated quantum tunneling in an experimental electrical circuit. Now, like I said, some of this is Greek to me. Tom, what does it mean?
It's very simple, Jason. No one knows. And anyone who claims to is lying, including I don't really know this either. But I spent enough time on it to understand what it does. And then I'll leave it to the Nobel Prize winners to try to explain why. Here's what I do know. Quantum tunneling is a phenomenon where a subatomic particle, like an electron, can appear on the other side of a solid barrier. So you'd think, there's no way the electron can get past there, but through quantum physics, it appears on the other side somehow. That's the part where I'm like, you get a quantum physicist try to explain how that happens or why, but that's the phenomenon that they're taking advantage of in their work. The demonstration they did that won this prize used superconducting wires. So those are wires that have no resistance, right? Superconductors are great because there's no impedance on the electricity, keeps things nice and fast. They took superconducting wires and interrupted it with an insulator. And of course, an insulator normally keeps particles like electrons and electricity from moving across. The interrupted wire is called a Josephson junction. I'm just say that so if you hear that phrase, you're like, oh, that's the wire with the insulator in the middle. The thing about it is when things are warm enough, electrons can get through that insulator if it's really hot because they're excited and they can push their way through. So you cool it to make sure that they can't do it. And then as you cool it, fewer electrons are able to get through the insulator. The scientists cooled the wire and tracked how many electrons were making it through with the idea that if it leveled out instead of continuing to decline, that was evidence that quantum tunneling was happening, right? Like enough electrons are just jumping that gap through quantum tunneling that the cooling isn't having an effect anymore. So far, so good?
So far, so good. Is it okay that I like envision these quantum things with like faces and like emotions and stuff?
If it
like,
helps, absolutely.
It kind of feels like a story you're telling me right now.
Right. There's electrons that are determined, right? And they can make it through the insulation. But if it gets too cold, then they shiver and they can't make it through, except for the ones who know quantum tunneling, and they just transport over somehow. And I don't know how. So that is what they found. They did that experiment and said, quantum tunneling is real. We made it happen. And from there is a bunch of other people doing other work, including these guys, to take advantage of it. So we'll just jump past that to, well, what is it good for? It's good for quantum computers. Let's not even try to go into explaining quantum computers, but the short version is always they have qubits, which means it's not just a 1 or a 0. It's a 1, a 0, or a superposition of both. That lets quantum computers be really good at certain things like breaking cryptography. These are also used in superconducting quantum interference devices, which you don't have to remember that because the acronym is SQUIDS.
Love it.
That's used in squids. And squids can measure small variations in a magnetic field. So that can be used to measure the Earth's magnetic field, and that can be used to find minerals. Because where there's a change in the magnetic field, it might indicate that there is iron or copper or something like that below the surface of the Earth, so you don't have to dig to find out where they are. It's also used in some brain scanning to find the source of epileptic seizures. And the one that we all use is in flash memory. It makes flash memory more efficient because it can jump the transistor gate. And in fact, it's used in a lot of transistors. The list is pretty long, but flash memory is probably the most common one.
Thank you for breaking that down. It helps me to know that I'm not the only one that finds this incredibly confusing. But when I look at people who, they won the Nobel Prize, so congratulations on that. These are some wicked, intelligent people to understand this stuff, to not just like, oh yeah, I think I can conceptualize it, but to understand it so much that they're pushing the development of this thing that is still very unknown, very uncertain. They're still trying to figure a lot of this out. They're still trying to figure out how to make this stable. I know stability is something that comes up a lot, or I guess it's coherence or whatever.
Yeah,
like
right.
That's an aspect of this that I don't quite understand. Like, is that a problem that these scientists are working to solve? Because I know that's a really important piece of this puzzle, is making it stable.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about this entire subject is that we still don't really know how electricity works. Like, we don't know why we know what it does, and we've worked with it enough to know, like, oh, if we do this, this happens.
Right.
But we can't necessarily explain the fundamentals of it that well. And this is very similar because we're talking about subatomic particles. We're talking about electrons, right? And electrons are what make up electricity. So it's very similar, where I think when I joke that nobody knows, I think a lot of people are like, yeah, we don't really know what's happening with quantum tunneling. But we know the math that explains it and makes it easy to predict. And that's what these guys did. These guys were even saying, like, I don't think what we did was all that big of a deal, honestly. Like, we just chilled down some wires to see if quantum tunneling actually happened. And we're like, oh, look, it does. You know,
but you knew to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And they knew the math that they had to do.
Right.
And they knew how to construct it properly and what place you had to chill it to and all of that. Right. You know, they're being humble when they say that. But I look at that and I'm like, well, if the scientist himself is like, I don't know, it's, you know, I think they're not trying to hide a deeper truth, you know, that we could never understand. It's more like, well, if you learned the math, you could do this too. We just thought of it first. Also, learning the math is really effing hard. So it's not something I'm going to do either.
No, not something I'm going to do either. But, you know, and the other thing that it reminds me of in this, you know, AI saturated world is the common conversation that has come up around, you know, companies developing these AI systems and like, we know how to get it to do we know like what to feed into it to get it to do certain things, but we don't actually know exactly how it's doing the things underneath. Like there is no code that we can look at to say, this is why it made this decision versus that. So there's still a little ambiguity there in how the AI models really work. You know, we have a high confidence that they're going to do this versus that. Kind of sounds like it's the same thing here with quantum computing. You know, it's like they know the result
with quantum mechanics, certainly.
With exactly with quantum mechanics.
And what they won the prize for isn't quantum computing. It's something that is used in quantum computing, the quantum tunneling. It's actually very prosaic. It says, oh, we figured out a way to make sure we know quantum tunneling happens, which means we can make more efficient transistors. We can make it so that those electrons can just jump the gap without having to have as much push to make them do it. We don't have to heat them as much to make them do it. And that's why you have flash memory. That's why you have, power efficient flash memory and squids and all these other things is like, we discovered it happens. We discovered the conditions under which it's happened. And then other people, like I said, including these guys, have built on that to make it work at room temperature. So you don't have to chill it to make it happen. But the fact that we knew it could happen meant you could harness it and use it in transistor gates and all that sort of things to make stuff happen without having to use as much power and use as much infrastructure, for lack of a better word, to make it work.
Fascinating stuff. I hope each one of them had a martini. Unless they don't drink, then that's fine. They don't have to have a martini.
You could have a virgin martini. Sure.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Well, DTNS is made possible not just by martinis, but by you, the listener, which provide the money with which we could buy a martini, virgin or otherwise. Thank you to Pat, Mike Cortez, Erwin Sturr, and our brand new patrons. No uncertainty principle about these guys. We are happy to have Leandro and Pranay. Welcome.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows home so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish and satin? Or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all on the app. Download today.
Hi, I'm Darragh, co-founder of Quo. You might know us as OpenPhone. My dad is a business owner, and growing up, he always kept his ringtone super loud so he'd never miss a customer call. That stuck with me. When we started Quo, our mission was to help businesses not just stay in touch, but make every customer feel valued, no matter when they might call. Quo gives your team business phone numbers to call and text on your phone or computer. Your calls, messages, and contacts live in one workspace, so your team can stay fully aligned and reply faster. And with our AI agent answering 24/7, you'll really never miss a customer. Over 90,000 businesses use Quo. Get 20% off at quo.com/business. That's quo.com/business. And we can port your existing numbers over for free. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states.
What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
There's so much more we need to know today, so let's get to the briefs.
Yes, now let's go into a place that Jason knows more about than I do. Yesterday was the start of the OpenAI Dev Days, and during the keynote, CEO Sam Altman announced a few new products for ChatGPT users and developers. OpenAI launched an SDK that turns ChatGPT sort of into an app front-end platform. You can make your app work inside of ChatGPT. It's built on the popular open source Model Context Protocol, or MCP, and that means developers can create full-featured apps that work directly within ChatGPT conversations. Those integrations will happen entirely in the chat environment with interactive UI elements, real-time context sharing, overlaid chat functionality. Launch partners include Spotify, Canva, Zillow, Expedia, and Booking.com, with Uber, DoorDash, Peloton, and Target coming soon. The demos showed, like, I need houses nearby me, and a Zillow map comes up. And then you can chat to be like, oh, show me that one on that street kind of situation. I haven't been able to make that happen for me yet, so I think it's rolling out slowly, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. I mean, the more I've used these environments, the more things come up, the more I encounter situations where it's like, oh yeah, and all, it's almost like it pretends like it has access in these ways.
Yeah.
But then when you're like, okay, do that, then it's like, oh, well, actually, I don't have the connection
you
to
have
do
to
it.
do that. That's a you problem.
And here's a list of all the things that you do step by step in order to do it. And I mean, that's nice, absent another alternative, but having this kind of baked in interactivity and something that MCP, Model Context Protocol, allows for, that just takes it to a whole other level. That really, we're going to probably in the next handful of years see a lot of integrations into the operating system of the computers that we're using because of things like MCP and this like interconnected web of capability between these chatbots, these, AI chatbots and the apps that we're already using. It's going to get real interesting. Very powerful.
I think a lot of the hype around AGI, or superintelligence, or whatever they decide to call it, depending on who you're talking to, distracts from the fact that these things are good enough that if you filter them well and refine them well, you can just talk to your computer and tell it what you want and it'll do it. And that's what we're seeing here is like, I want to be able to just say like, hey, can you make a Spotify playlist? My taste. Throw in a few Twice songs and some BTS, Blackpink, and LE SSERAFIM. And it's like, oh yeah, got it. Here you go. I made it for you in Spotify. It's great. I love that idea.
And you might not be reliant then, because Spotify might have its own AI to do these certain things, but you might spend so much time inside of like ChatGPT. ChatGPT knows and understands, in air quotes, knows and understands you so well because you've been using it for 2 years and it has all that history to draw on that it might do just a much better job of creating that playlist. And that's just one example.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's trying to become a super app. It's like, just use chat and I will do whatever it is you want me to do in apps or on the web. I mean, we're going to get to the story later here in a second about what Google's having to do with third-party app stores. App stores might just not be that relevant, in a couple of years.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's not that far off, I don't think. Well, sticking with OpenAI for a second, OpenAI introduced a few other things. They introduced Agent Kit. That's a simplified GUI, graphic user interface, for creating specialized chatbots with a drag and drop kind of building block style interface that they call Chat Kit. The platform includes performance measurement tools for developers, testing workflows, of course. There's pre-built widgets, different informational sources. So pretty powerful stuff inside that kit. OpenAI also announced updates for its Codex coding agent. So now it has Slack integration, also improved SDK support, and then a bunch of new support available via API for things like Sora 2, GPT-5 Pro, a smaller and cheaper version of its real-time audio interface, all available via API, because this is a developer conference after all. And then OpenAI also teased an agentic commerce protocol for instant checkout with monetization details yet to be announced. They didn't go deep in that. That reminded me of last month's announcement by Google of the agent payments protocol. You know, one of the things that we've seen with these like agentic systems, you know, this chat interface can do all of these things for you, but yet we are hesitant, or I know I'm hesitant, of handing over the keys entirely because certain things aren't really worked out. You know, this payments protocol, having some sort of a system that is built around protecting me as a user and not just suddenly buying a $20,000 car because the chat, you know, interface decided to go off the rails. And I think they're looking at this and realizing there's a lot of power, potential to harness here if they can create these protocols around these systems to do these things that people are a little hesitant to do now. So it's kind of setting the building blocks for that.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot of discussion of trust around this sort of thing, right? Like, do I trust logging into Shopify with, you know, or even Spotify or any of the stuff we were talking about earlier with ChatGPT, then handling that transaction? And OpenAI is going to have to do a lot to explain what it has access to. And like, are you logging in directly and it just knows you're logged in and it doesn't keep any of that information, or does it? There's going to be a lot of discussion around that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, being able to just, again, going into, you know, the agentic commerce protocol and the GUI building thing, like being able to just say like, I thought like, oh, what if we had a little bot on DTNS where you could ask it questions about anything we've ever talked about on any of the shows, right?
Love that.
Like, could I build that with this agent kit? That would be cool. And then we just slap it on the website. It'd be great.
Super neat. Yeah, really, really interesting stuff coming from OpenAI. I feel like every day it's a new OpenAI announcement. So apologies to those of you who are like, oh my God, OpenAI again. But, you know, it really is a pretty major company doing major things right now. It certainly has a lot of resources and a lot of attention. So that's why we keep talking about it, I guess. Well, let's talk about Google then. We mentioned it very briefly. The U.S. Supreme Court.
That'll make you feel better.
Yeah, totally. The U.S. Supreme Court has denied Google's request for a partial stay of Judge James Donato's order that requires significant changes to its Google Play Store as part of last year's Epic Games antitrust lawsuit. Court-ordered changes are now required to go into effect on October 22nd, 2025. So that is just a couple of weeks away. That includes allowing developers to use external payment links, informing users about alternative payment methods, and setting their own prices. Now, Google must also stop sharing revenue in exchange for Google Play exclusivity or pre-installation. And then a July 2026 deadline is also set for Google to open its App Store catalog to competitors, enabling third-party app stores inside of the Play Store. And yes, to all of this, Google is planning a full Supreme Court appeal to take place by October 27th. But time is ticking now. It's like, all right, Google, you gotta get off the pot.
It's interesting that they denied the injunction. That usually means the court believes you have an uphill battle to win your case. It's a bad sign. Doesn't mean Google can't win its case at the Supreme Court. It just means the Supreme Court says, we don't see you winning this, so we don't think we should. And courts usually are pretty lenient, like, well, if there's a chance you're going to win, we don't want to make you do a lot of work you have to undo. So that is interesting. And you shouldn't look at this and think, well, it's all done, because Google is appealing to the Supreme Court, and there's, we're saying there's a chance they could still win at the Supreme Court and have to undo part of it. My guess is the Supreme Court says, we think some of this is going to have to stay, and maybe the majority of it, even if we strike down parts of it. And so it's better to just get you started building all of it, because you won't be implementing all of it until next July anyway.
No, but quite a bit of it, it seems like, in the next couple of weeks. And I have to imagine, teams in Google have been building as because has been no certainty around this stuff. They had better have systems in place by the time the deadline happens. So
I am really excited to get all the emails saying, I'm so upset about Qualcomm acquiring Arduino, because anytime a big company acquires a small company, especially an open source company, we get those emails. But Qualcomm has agreed to acquire Arduino. They haven't acquired it yet. They didn't even give a date for the closing, which could mean it's going to happen pretty fast, honestly. But the Italian open source electronics platform celebrated by hobbyists and educators is going to be part of Qualcomm. Now, Qualcomm promises to keep Arduino's brand intact, keep it independent, not change its mission, but hopefully just give it extra leverage by giving it wider access to Qualcomm's tech portfolio. And the joke I was going to make is Arduino announced the Uno Q single board computer, and Qualcomm liked it so much they bought the company, because that was the other part of the announcement. It's like, we're buying Arduino, and Arduino is releasing the Uno Q, which is, of course, powered by Qualcomm's Dragon Wing QRB 2210 chip. It runs Linux Debian. The computer supports lightweight AI models, is pre-installed with App Lab. So it's an all-in-one development environment for managing AI models on the device. You can, of course, do Python scripts and Arduino sketches. Uno Q is available for pre-order today for $44.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I was kind of pouring through comments around the different stories that I read on this, and wow, people are not happy,
Never. Big company buys smaller company, people mad.
Yeah.
It's a tautology. Doesn't matter whether it's a good or a bad thing. People mad.
I'm far more familiar with the Raspberry Pi side of things than I am Arduino. Is this about Qualcomm really wanting to kind of have more of an entry point into the hobbyist community?
Probably. I think it's that, and also wanting to make sure that they have a place to vend those kinds of chips. It's an expansion of their market. And we'll see if they can be good stewards of Arduino. I know everyone's like, they won't. I don't think Qualcomm is that much of a unitary evil or anything. They're not known for buying things and shutting things down. So, this will be a new thing for them, though. And it could change Qualcomm as much as Qualcomm changes Arduino.
Indeed. Well, California signed a bill into law requiring streaming video services not to, quote, transmit the audio of commercial advertisements, louder than the video content the advertisements accompany, end quote. U.S. federal rules actually made in 2010 capped ad volume on cable and broadcast TV, something that had to be done, but did not cover streaming. So this bill kind of closes that loophole, at least here in the state of California, where I live, where you live as well, Tom. Content makers initially opposed the law. They were fearing legal action over the fixes that they would adopt in order to address this. But then there was an add to the bill to ultimately rework it to include protections against private lawsuits. So that kind of moved them over the line. This move may indeed set a precedent for other states, because as we know, there's a lot of entertainment that begins here in the state of California. This could have precedent for other states.
I mean, essentially what this did was hurry this along. Streaming companies have been working on trying to balance this. It is a more difficult thing to do for a streaming company than for a broadcast outlet, because the broadcast outlets run the ads themselves. Streaming companies, just by the nature of the internet, pull in an ad from somewhere else. They don't have a person putting a tape into a machine, right? And so,
or a limiter box at the end of the signal chain that just squashes everything into the right spot.
Exactly. And so it doesn't mean there aren't things you can do, but they are a little more complicated. And the streaming media companies probably didn't want to spend the money to make that a high priority, right? They wanted to fix it, though, because people are complaining this law is going to speed it along. It may mean that you don't need another law because you've got a huge market in California. And if this speeds up everybody to make this not be as much of a problem, then the rest of the world benefits because, this is the kind of thing where it would be more work to limit it to California than it would be to just make it apply to everybody.
Yeah. Everybody would be happy about that.
Nintendo released a 4-minute animated short called Close to You on the Nintendo app today, or the Nintendo Today app, with no context around what it is, whether it's a teaser, whether it's something bigger. And that has everybody speculating why they put it there in the first place. If you haven't watched it, the short is about a baby playing with a magical pacifier. Does not have any instantly recognizable characters or clues beyond that. Mom comes in and is excited that the baby is making the pacifier magic. That's about all you get. Some people speculate this might be a tease to a Super Mario Galaxy movie featuring a young Princess Rosalina. Others are thinking it might be a tease for a Pikmin film, which has been rumored but not officially announced. Jason, you got a guess?
I have no guesses whatsoever. I was like, when I first read that people were guessing Super Mario Galaxy, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this has no clues. I didn't even know that Rosalina, this is how not in
the lore
informed I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, Rosalina, who's Rosalina? So yeah, I have no guesses whatsoever.
I think they're going to start competing with Pixar and they're just making a movie. No, it's probably not that. But I haven't heard anybody guess that, so I'm staking my claim on that one in case it's true.
Could be. I could see it.
You never know.
You never know. The information is reporting that Tesla's plan to produce 10,000 Optimus robots for internal use by the end of 2025 has been scaled back by, quote, several thousand of 10,000. So that's quite a bit. Complications related to technical challenges with the hands, the robotic hands are the cause that forced Tesla to reduce its outlook to this, or earlier this summer is when they actually made that decision. We're just now hearing about it.
And Google told The Verge that it will soon launch a new smart display. Well, actually, what Google Home's Anish Katakaran said was that they would, quote, continue to invest in that category while referring to smart displays. They also said a lot about Gemini. So people are thinking they might rebrand the Google Home Hub with integrated Gemini AI. The Nest Hub was last refreshed in 2021, and Amazon recently introduced those two new Echo Show smart displays that will have the new improved Amazon Voice Assistant. So there's plenty to compete against. Katakaran says it is, quote, definitely committed to smart displays and that they'll have news to share there soon.
See?
Thank you, Gemini.
Gemini, you just got to get the last word in there.
Always.
You go.
Those are the essentials for today. So let's dive a little deeper.
Yeah, I've been sharing conversations the last few times I've been on the show about my trip to Dublin, Ireland, which unfortunately feels like the distant past at this point. I want to go back. It was only a couple of weeks ago. There I met with startups who are really pushing the edge of sports tech innovation. That's what I focused on while I was there anyways. Today, we wrap up the series of interviews that I had with my chat with Output Sports co-founder Darragh Whelan. We talk about how his company is turning elite sports science into something you can actually fit in your pocket. It's a very powerful and flexible performance tracking sensor that they're developing.
I'm in a random room at the Fitzwilliam Hotel in Dublin, Ireland, and continuing my tour of really interesting wearable tech founded and created here in Ireland. And I'm here with Darragh Whelan, who is the co-founder of Output Sports. Really nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm really enjoying this trip through Irish tech innovation.
Great.
Very wearable driven so far. Wearables and data, of which what you're going to show off does a whole lot of both. So why don't we start with what your wearable actually is? Because it's very unique and cool.
So we're a small wearable sensor that's capable of measuring lots of different performance metrics in an off-field performance environment. So where we're really interested in collecting data is predominantly in a weight room or a rehab environment. That's where most of our data is collected from.
Okay, so people aren't wearing this, out on the rugby field or anything like that.
No.
This is really meant to be in the gym with a very specific goal in mind, or does it just collect a number of different data points, and then you can kind of achieve your goal on the back end.
No, the beauty of the tech at the moment is the diversity of measurements. So we allow testing and tracking in lots of different performance metrics. So things such as balance, bar speed, jump height, mobility, etc. And ultimately, a coach will collect that data, define what they want their athletes to be good at, and then they can use our technology to collect across that disparate data set and then start to understand their athlete better, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and then start to train them in order to succeed most optimally on the field. So while we don't do anything on the field, the data that the athletes collect using this data usually informs their conditioning to allow them to perform on the field.
Okay, so a little bit earlier, we got a demo at your facility. And then I was the brave soul who raised my hand when you said, would someone like to come out and put this on your shoe?
Very grateful for the save.
And do the jump. It was a very awkward jump because I had to follow some rules. And then I realized I'm not a very good jumper. So I might be tall, but I don't jump very well. So
me and you both.
Yeah. So which I think was an indication, at least one of the things that I really like about this is like, if you can see it, if you're just listening, it's a tiny little rectangular kind of piece of technology, but it fits into a fastener that allows you to really attach this anywhere. So when we're talking about wearable, it's not just going to go on your wrist. If you go on a barbell, I think you showed off, it could go on your foot. Kind of talk about that a little bit, the flexibility.
Yeah, so the sensor is about the size of a matchbox, and that's done so that in order that anyone can test no matter where they are. They can literally pop it into their kit bag. At the moment, because most of our clients are sporting organizations, it will be the strength coach who would have multiples of these sensors and are able to bring them wherever they need to do the testing.
Would one person wear more than one?
No,
wouldn't need to.
Yeah, a lot of so we are a university spin out. So we spun out of University College Dublin, the Insight Centre for Data Analytics in there. And one of the things we really focused on during our research was actually bringing down the number of sensors that you need to get accurate and reliable data. That's kind of where our research was.
Got it.
And the reason why we did that was because obviously we felt one sensor would make it easier in order to transport and easier for people to use basically from day to day. So we did a lot of research collecting data with multiple sensors on multiple body locations, and then narrowing it down, defining where the best body location was in order to pick up that data that we were capturing. At the moment, that's no problem for us because it's coaches who set up the systems. The athletes come in, the sensors are ready to go where they need to go. But what we're really interested in doing is defining one optimum place for that sensor, or even more interestingly, using off-the-shelf wearable sensors that can power our algorithms to get that data as well. So the actual component parts within our sensing technology, it's accelerometers and gyroscopes. They're basically in...
Yeah, you find those in phones.
Exactly, yeah.
Attach a phone to your foot.
That's exactly it. And actually, obviously, watches now, definitely, smart devices which measure lots of different metrics will tend to have one form of accelerometer and gyroscope in it. Where our expertise as a company is actually taking, it's not in the hardware itself, it's actually taking the sensor signals and converting them into meaningful metrics for end users. So while at the moment we do use our own sensor because that gives us the ability to get that accurate level, which we can imagine be required at the top level of sports, what we're really interested in understanding is the use of off-the-shelf wearable sensors that have accelerometers and gyroscopes in them that can power our algorithms as well.
Okay, so what we're talking about is obviously, we've got the hardware that you've created that has this technology. One thing we haven't talked about is, of course, the dashboard or the software that feeds into, analytics around that. And then is what you're alluding to kind of like a future where do you take something like a smartwatch and the data that can be gleaned from a smartwatch and integrate that into your analytics software? Will actually do interesting things?
Well, actually, probably the way it'll actually work is that we will operate within the currently existing platforms that people analyze their collective health.
Oh, I see.
So like an Apple Health app or like a Garmin ecosystem or something like that. So the way our system currently operates is we have hardware, the sensor that communicates to an app that you download on either a phone or a tablet. The sensor communicates to that via Bluetooth, collects the data, and then provides that information to the athlete or the coach. And then we have our own portal where that data then syncs into and can be used for longitudinal tracking, report generation, program building, etc. But ultimately, it's just the data going to where it needs to go. And currently, our customers will use our output hub in order to visualize that data, create reports, etc., because they're used to working in that environment. But ultimately, the data we have an open AMS. We already operate and work with, or say API. We already operate where our data is capable of API into AMSs, a lot of A's, which are athlete management systems. Yes, basically like Kitman Labs, like Arco that you would have seen next door, which collate that data, present visualizations to coaches, etc. But that ultimately is just a platform to visualize the data.
Sure.
We understand that fitness is a wide variety of different tools. What we specialize in is strength, power, movement. So if we can provide that strength, power, movement to other data amalgamation tools, we're happy with that because that's where we provide our value in. So ultimately, it can absolutely, where we'd love to see it go, is that you log into your health app, right, and all your strength and conditioning work, what's been done in the gym, ports into that and feeds into your overall health and fitness with things like sleep, recovery, heart rate, etc., etc.
How are the analytics treated as far as understanding, we're living at a time when AI is I'm putting it in air quotes, the solution to everything, right? Everybody's looking for a way to squish it in. It occurs to me, though, this is a really great potential avenue for an AI system that understands how to take all of these disparate points of data and make it actionable or make it understandable, especially when you're talking about a consumer versus like a very well-trained coach that knows how to interpret that inherently or by education, I suppose.
Absolutely, yes. Where our product is at the moment is we work with coaches who have the innate knowledge because they've been to college,
right? They've been trained.
Exactly. In what tests would you do to understand an athlete in that particular sport or position? What's a good score? What's a bad score? How to get better at that and how that relates on-field performance. So at the moment, we provide a very useful and seamless tool to collect that data far easier than it would have been traditionally. But what we don't have inbuilt into the system currently is that what you're alluding to there, context. Mm-hmm. So that ability to understand, well, why would I do this test? What's a good score in this test? What's a bad score in this test? Why is it important that I have a good score in this test? And then how do I get better at it? And that ultimately is the same problem that anybody's looking to solve, whether it be one of the NFL athletes playing this weekend in Croke Park, or whether it be literally an individual who wants to cycle up a hill faster than their friend. Ultimately, they're going to be I feel like they will achieve that goal more safely and efficiently with objective data points along that journey, as well as being able to show improvements to their mates when they're down the pub.
Yeah, exactly, which we're going to hit the pub here in a few minutes. So we're going to get there. Before we round things out, I want to kind of ask you a little bit about kind of the technology experience, developing technology in a country like Ireland. Obviously, this is a big reason why I'm here, is to kind of showcase and shine a light on tech innovation here in the country. And you've built a very successful platform. You're working with you've got some amazing partners, the biggest partners, let's say. So tell me a little bit about that experience. What's that been like?
It's been fantastic. We actually started as part of 2 PhDs. So my own background was in physiotherapy or athletic training in the US. I was really frustrated by the subjectivity involved in return to play testing. So I really wanted an objective manner of doing that in a far more accessible, inexpensive manner. That led me to doing the PhD. And I was really lucky that the same day I started my PhD, one of my co-founders, Dr. Martin O'Reilly, he started his PhD, and his expertise was actually in processing sensor signals and also had an innate understanding of sports science as well. So we were able to collaborate during that research phase and then bring on our third co-founder, Julian Eberly, who's an excellent developer, a really great problem solver, to basically launch the company. So we've kind of been at this for now probably about 10 years or so, but the company has been in existence for 5 years now at this stage. But we've loved that journey because what the three of us are super, super passionate about is making elite sports science simple and scalable.
There you go.
We were really keen on that the level of performance analysis that happens in those NFL teams will become accessible to anyone with an exercise goal. And because of that, we basically kept going through all of this, starting your own business, going through all the joys that entails, because we're super, super passionate about making sure that people are doing the right thing at the right time to achieve their exercise goals.
Yeah, I love the goal being accessibility of not only the data and the collection of the data, but the understanding of the data and putting that into use.
Exactly. That's what we're really interested in the next step of the company.
Yeah. It's a great mission. Darragh, thank you so much for talking with us about Output Sports and this little thing, which I don't even think that we showed on video, this little like pouch that it can fit into so that it can attach to places like your shoe and all that. So it makes it really flexible. Thank you for taking some time for sharing your experience with us.
And enjoy the rest of Dublin as well.
Becky, let's go get a pint now.
Agreed.
All right. Cheers. Thank you.
Hold on, Jason. You can't go get a pint again yet. You're still doing this show.
Too late.
Yep. Good stuff. And if you want to see it in action, we will have a video of that as well. Video version of that at youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show. If you'd like to join in the conversation in our Discord, you can do that as well. Link to your Patreon account. And of course, you can become a patron at patreon.com/DTNS.
Hey, what's up? It's Mario Lopez. Back to school is an exciting time, but it can also be overwhelming, and kids may feel isolated, a vulnerability that human traffickers can exploit. Human trafficking doesn't always look like what you expect. Everyday moments can become opportunities for someone with bad intentions. Whether you're a parent, teacher, coach, or neighbor, check in, ask questions, stay connected. Blue Campaign is a national awareness initiative that provides resources to help recognize suspected instances of human trafficking. Learn the signs and how to report at dhs.gov/Blue Campaign.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
We end every episode of DTNS by hearing from you. And today, Kevin just has nice things to say.
Yeah, he said, I really enjoyed the monthly recap episode that Jen Cutter and I did at the end of September. It was nice to look back and reflect on the month we just had. I liked pulling in AI to get its opinion. Another segment that might be interesting is a biggest non-tech news story, and maybe non-political, just to see the big story that didn't make your lists. Maybe talk about why it didn't fit your rundown. Maybe give some opinions on it. Always love the show. Kevin in Milwaukee. Thank you,
Good
Kevin.
suggestions. Thank you, Kevin. What are you thinking about? If you have insight into a story or suggestions for maybe things that we could do on a future show, share it with us. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Thanks to Darragh Whelan. Thanks to Kevin for contributing to today's show. And thank you for being along for Daily Tech News Show. You can keep us in business by becoming a patron. Just go to patreon.com/DTNS. We'll see you tomorrow.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Hey, it's Maya and Sim from the Girls That Invest podcast. If you are an IT or security pro, you know managing devices, identities, and applications can feel overwhelming and honestly risky. That's where Trellica by 1Password comes in. It helps conquer SaaS sprawl and shadow IT by discovering every app your team uses, managed or not. With pre-built app profiles, you can assess risk, manage access, and even optimize your software spend. Plus, it simplifies onboarding, offboarding, and compliance, all while cutting costs by eliminating unused licenses. Take the first step to better security for your team. Learn more at onepassword.com/special offer.
If you're a smoker or vapor ready to make a change, you really only need one good reason. But with Zyn nicotine pouches, you'll discover many good reasons. Zyn is America's #1 nicotine pouch brand. Plus, Zyn offers a robust rewards program. There are lots of options when it comes to nicotine satisfaction, but there's only one Zyn. Check out zyn.com/find to find Zyn at a store near you. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.